Welcome to the very first edition of Thank God I'm Married podcast. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm your host, Quest, joined by CJ, aka Carlos Quincy Jones.
Know.
You already know the Quincy Jones of this thing.
Jones.
Yeah. Yup, and the man, the myth, the legend.
The myth.
Also joined by my brother from another mother. Yeah, the hip hop preacher.
What it do,
Dr. Eric.
What it do,
Tom, I gotta blow it out, because this is the first one. So y'all tell me if the introductions is dope.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
All right.
Carlos Quincy Jones.
Yep.
You always call me Quincy Jones. Let's just blend the two.
For real, we gotta blow it out. Well, man, I don't know what to tell y'all, man. I'm psyched, I'm pumped, I'm excited because this is the first one. And see, I just want to follow suit real quick. You always do the is it me or. This is the one I want to do. Is it me or are we about to provide like some marriages with some dope content? Like for real, free up some people, man, and get some stuff that'll move them from like, for real, from a bad situation to good. From good to great, and then from great to phenomenal.
I'm trying to take them to phenomenal.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got a few years represented here. It might be about almost 40 years between the three of us.
Yeah. No, and I think what's dope is all three of us have completely different perspectives. So I think that's what's gonna make it, you know what I mean? Like this particular portion of it, you know, sensational is because we all come from very different backgrounds. We all got different stories. You know, but the one thing we have in common is, you know, we all are married to our best friends.
Yeah, one triple-double.
And try to keep that triple-double alive for sure. So
I'm tripping because I see E as, you know what I'm saying, when you talk about these perspectives, CJ, I see E as the one who, like, for real, did it right from the beginning. 26 years in the game, you know what I'm saying, and done it right up until this point. And now the kids are out the house, you know what I'm saying? They living the honeymoon life again. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, that's a whole nother phase. I'm just beginning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then you got you who did it right. And this is what, the 6th year?
Just hit 7, bro.
7, wow.
Just hit 7 a couple weeks ago.
See what I'm saying? And then me, who did it wrong in the beginning, had to go through divorce. And then now I'm doing it right 5 years in the game, you know what I'm saying? And we're working on year 6. We just, you know what I'm saying, celebrating.
So me and Quest got the low end of the curve. We got 7, 5, and 26. You know what I'm saying? He jumped us up a little bit.
And for me and you, it's similar because we both got kids. You just had one. I just had one that's 5 months.
I know, 3 months.
How old baby girl is now? 3
man,
months.
3 months.
You know what I'm saying? Then you got Trey, who's how old now? 3?
2.5.
2.5.
Be 3 in January.
And then I got Nico, who 3, knocking on 4. Who next year he gonna be 31. So you know what I'm saying?
So 31.
And little mama's how old? She 10 or?
Oh, you talking about Zoe? Zoe is 13 years old now. She about to be 14.
Don't kill me, Zoe. You're still my little baby. 13. Man. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. So that's what we dealing with in terms of perspective. So man, see. Yeah, jump on in, man.
Yeah, no, I'm geeked up, man. Like I said, I'm excited not only to have this, but to have this built out as a course. You know what I mean? Like it's exciting to me because we talked about it for a long time. Like being able to bring this to Breathe University, right? Because one of the things that E taught me early on was it's one thing to have success in business, you know, but if you're not happy with the person that you're laying next to every single night, you know, like how happy can you really be? So like we could travel the world, we could make a bunch of money, we could build a multi-million-dollar company, and if you and your wife got static, and it's not a happy situation at home where you lay your head, you know, what did you really gain? And so I think I've always had this perspective of the first thing is first, and that is, am I being a good husband? Am I being a good father? You know, all of these things that, you know, E taught me. And so really when we go through our ETA and we're, you know, going through and giving this information and motivating and inspiring and teaching all these lessons, we'd be remiss if we didn't then start this and have this service available to the people, because you need to see, he talks about Didi all the time, but now you need to hear the principles and the things that allowed him to have 26 years of marriage, married to his best friend, you know, and you see them together.
Good.
They still holding hands in the mall.
24 good.
Yeah, they holding hands in the mall. They still happy. And so a lot of people don't have that. You know, we hear about the divorce rates, we hear about all these things, but we don't have enough models of what doing it the right way looks like. And none of us are perfect. So throughout this podcast, you're gonna hear the ups, the downs. You're gonna hear fresh information.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're gonna get all of that. So I'm excited about being able to bring this to the people. Our Breathe You fam has been asking for it for a long time.
The world has been asking
and here it goes. And
I'm
here
telling
it goes.
you, that's the only reason I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because the world has been asking, you know, and for me, you know, y'all know me, you know, this is private. Like my family is private. Now I do share stuff, but what we about to share, I've never shared. You know, I waited for my children to be adults so they can move on with their life, so they don't have to, you know what I'm saying, like deal with this. I waited for Didi to feel like, okay, the kids are gone, and she kind of, you know, if y'all notice, Didi been in the ministry a lot more than she had been in the past, you know what I'm saying? So one of the reasons why I never did the marriage is because it's like, yo, I can't do this without Didi, you know, and Didi like, yo, I'm not you, so I'm not gonna be like on the podcast all day every day, but I am willing to share my, you know, my perspective about it as well. And then, like for real, man, I'm 46, been married 26 years, and yo, for real, man, a lot of my homies, man, a lot of my fam have gone through it, and everybody not divorced. There are people who are married but ain't happy married. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited, but I'm doing this because of the pain, you know, that I have seen when people are blowing up financially, but the home ain't right. You know, what I've seen when, you know, a husband and wife who are together, but who not on one accord. Like, yo, don't get it twisted. Y'all just thinking about divorce. I'm telling you, I've seen people who cannot find a way to get on one accord, you know, who can't find that synergy. They not like Venus and Serena. They not on the MJ and Scottie Pippen. Like they like, look, I'm gonna do it my way. Okay, I'm gonna do it my way. And that and so I just want to teach people like, yo, for real. Like she said it, I've been around the world and It ain't, look, I had the new cars. You feel me? I had the new cars. I've been in 2 homes, both built from the ground up. I've worn the tailored suit. You know, we've flown in jets. I made I did. I did.
Remember that one we got you in London? Where you had your chicks out a little bit?
Joint? Yeah. Shouts out to T Black, man.
Yeah, no. He bought one in London, though, the European boy. But he figured out he was a little too thick.
Josh Boogie.
What up,
Josh Boogie.
Josh in the building.
So I'm saying, guys, and Josh just walked in so he can attest. Like, for real, I don't care how much money you make, what restaurants you went to, what islands you visited. There's nothing like being in a relationship with your wife and being happy, bro.
No doubt.
There's no other, like, there's nothing else when your baby's running the house, you know, or you come in the house and your baby's run up to you, hugging you, like, Jalen, he ain't gonna give me that swag. Nah, Jada ain't gonna give me that. But Jada used to think I was Michael Jackson back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, if you listening, and you've not been on one accord with your wife, like y'all ain't like y'all were when y'all was 16, 17, or whenever y'all was dating, you haven't experienced anything.
And I think the thing that I'm really realizing, guys, is that, you know, like some people think, oh, you just got lucky, you married the right person, you did this, you did that. No. Just like there's a strategy and a blueprint to how we ended up going to the next level in terms of our company, the same strategy and blueprint exists in terms of success in marriage. Like there's some things that we do, there's some things that E taught me, that you taught me, that helped me to be a better husband, that helped me and my wife to have a better relationship and a better marriage. Like, so people kind of, you think it's gonna get better through osmosis, right? There's some things that we did. E talked to me about how important it is to have worship with your wife, the communication. You know what I mean? It's like a bunch of strategies that we actually use to have a happy marriage. Like, so imagine being gone for 10 days and like, I'm on the road, FaceTiming, fiending to get back to the crib, and I ain't been 26, but I'm 7 years in the game, and I still miss my wife. You know what I'm saying? And so what we want to do throughout this podcast is share everything with you. You know, we got some subject matter that we're going to talk about in terms of, for real, we got some opinions on should you have opposite sex friends? You know what I mean? Like, we're going down the whole gamut. Social media, you know, and it's crazy that we have to talk about social media, but it's some grown folk marriages getting tore up over social media.
I promise
I'm just being real.
I've had to learn real quick. My wife be
No, say it straight
when
up.
I'm in her presence and I'm scrolling through, like, for real. Last night she even told me, like, for real, it's Friday night, it's worship time, it's our time, put the phone down.
And I'm talking about, not only that, I'm talking about former friends reaching out on the book, like, oh, hey,
the old school
how
Pope.
are you? The Pope. You getting Pope. I'm just saying, bro, it's some stuff that, you know, it's some stuff that happens. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to bring people on here who deal with finances and show us how to get our money right. We know that that's one of the biggest indicators of, you know, divorce or success is, you know, is the money right. And so there's a lot of things that we're going to be going over in this.
And the sex usually, we're going to go there later. But I was telling my homeboys of the day.
Let's talk about,
he was talking about his wife. And like, my wife ain't sexual, you know, the intimacy ain't there. I'm like, bruh, the car getting repoed.
That's not sexy.
Yeah, that's not
a turn on.
That you can barely pay the mortgage. Like, You might still be able to get up in that kind of circumstance.
Drawers all over the bedroom floor.
But your girl, that's affecting your girl.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Well, it goes to something that you said before. I don't remember if it was a podcast or what, but what you said was that greatness cannot be compartmentalized.
Yeah.
So in other words, like for real, there's an order of operations for me and my crib. Like for real, God first, spouse second, kids third. You know what I'm saying? Everything else after that. And you ain't about to put the job first and be dope at your job or dope at the career, and don't think that sooner or later that spouse joint going to clash. You know what I'm saying? And tear your whole
feel like
joint
she
down.
the third fruit.
Third fruit. Well, not only that, I think for real, and I think some people have a sense of I could do the job first and provide all of this stuff, and I'm still gonna be straight. But what we're going to show you how to do, and we, God willing, we'll continue to have this success is
triple-double.
What he talked about, the triple-double.
Triple-double.
Hey, we at a beautiful resort right now.
No
getting
doubt.
ready to do a conference. We just left the Fontainebleau in Miami a couple weeks ago, so we're doing it on both ends. And we want to let you know.
Like you when I grow up.
Yeah, no.
Blue.
No. I want to be like Trey. I just said the other day.
Oh, man.
I went, my first time on a resort, I was about 28.
Yup.
Trey just left the Fontainebleau. He had the, what is this, balling time right now? Balling out time.
Balling out
Yeah.
time.
I'm talking about my man. No, seriously, we stopped counting, but Trey had been on, by the time he was 2, I think like 38 flights.
Yeah.
I told him the other day, I went on my second flight in my life when I met E at the age of 22.
Yep.
I was 22 years old when I went on the second flight of my life.
Crazy.
Trey been on 30-some flights.
That's crazy.
He been to Cali, he been to Florida, he been at New York, he been all over the world.
He's literally been around the world.
Yeah, already. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Just to see the elevation of it. But what we're talking about now is just getting that triple-double, right? And if you already happy in your marriage, we're gonna show you how to turn it up another level. Let me tell you, and for those of you, for real, you're used to hearing my voice now, you're used to hearing E. Let me tell you why we brought Quest on and why Quest is, leading out the marriage.
Most forthright scholar.
No. Why Quest is leading out the marriage college, and Quest is going to be leading our calls, our workshops. Of course, me and E are going to be backing them up. But Quest, first of all, just a great heart. Just one of the best dudes I know. But second of all, I look at Quest and his wife, and they have a blast. Like they are the couple who you really want to emulate in terms of how they keep it fun and exciting. Like you see Quest and his wife at a wedding reception. I mean, they the first ones. They got everybody wobbling and they leading it out. And they just had that swagger where you like, yo, like you ever see a couple and be like, yo, I want to be married. Like they are that couple that you look at like, yo, that's what I want. And so Quest has been able to do that on such a high level that E and I called him up and was like, Quest, we know you got a lot of things going on. We know you're an entrepreneur. You got a bunch of stuff you already doing. We need you for Breathe University in this marriage course to head this thing out. And so we're excited, man, because like I said, I've been watching Quest for a minute. But one of the things I wanted to get into today, guys, and because I know some people are listening that aren't necessarily married, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about,
definitely more, you're gonna get something.
Yeah, for sure. And E and I, about a year ago, we had an idea to write the book, and Quest has joined us on that quest now, and the book is finished. You might have heard us talk about it a couple times. Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me just say, it's fire.
Some crazy content. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be modeling the workshops off of the book. And so what E and I said is, yo, how dope would it be for me and E to write a book together? And basically what we'll do is, since I've been married for 7 years, I can show you kind of the dating phase when you first are trying to find that significant other, and then all the way up through 7 years, because I'm qualified now to speak up to 7 years.
That's a perfect number.
So I can show you how to get the ball rolling. I can show you how to get the ball rolling to 7. And then E can show you how to make that long-term, commitment and that long-term success. And so, so for those of you in your 30s and you in your 4th, 5th, 6th year of marriage, and you trying to find that spouse, the information that I write about is for you. For those of you've been married 10, 12, 15 years and you're trying to get to that next level, E's got everything you need. So I think the dynamic and the dichotomy that we have between the two messages is really going to hit home. But Quest, as we go in, I went into choosing the right spouse. And so I wrote a little bit about that in chapter 1. And I just want to read it real quick. It's a few paragraphs.
Come on.
But this will be kind of the start of the curriculum, is choosing the right spouse. And I said, while I realize that many of you are reading this book because you're already married, I do need to address how to go about choosing the right spouse for those of you who may be dating or even single. We've all heard the saying, opposites attract, and I want to explore that theory a bit. I do find it to be true that oftentimes we may be attracted to characteristics that we don't ourselves possess. For instance, if I'm a shy or passive person, I may be attracted to the bold and unflinching attitude of a potential love interest. Or if I'm a worrywart with high anxiety, I may be attracted to a person who tends to live more carefree and full of life. In instances such as these, it makes sense to be drawn to a person that's our opposite because we subconsciously hope that that person's perceived strengths will somehow rub off on us. And it makes sense, right? If one person has the matches and the other has the wood, we can get this fire burning.
Yes, sir.
But when does being too opposite become a problem or even a deal breaker when deciding whether or not this person will make a compatible spouse? Well, it becomes a deal breaker when the opposites involve core values. Understand that the things mentioned earlier are not necessarily core values, but rather quirks in our personality and characteristics of things that make us unique. For instance, my wife tends to be a pretty private person, slow to trust and quick to keep her business her business. When we found out that Candace was pregnant with our son Trey, she read somewhere that you should wait at least 3 months before you tell family and friends because of the possibility of having a miscarriage. Being that she knows I'm a loudmouth who likes to strike up conversations with complete strangers, Candace sat me down and said, "Babe, I know you're excited and can't wait to tell everybody we're pregnant, but do you think you could hold off for a few months?" To which I replied, "A few months? You kidding, right?" This news was burning a hole in my pocket and we weren't even 5 minutes in. Much to my dismay, she in fact was not kidding. So I promised to do my best to keep my newfound secret to myself. Far surpassing my own expectations, the secret lasted with me a whole 4 hours. I got something to tell you, bruh, but you can't tell anybody. Candace is pregnant, he replied. "Wait, how'd you know?" I said. "You had that twinkle in your tone, bruh, and that can only mean one thing." I'm gonna be a dad, E. I was so excited that I yelled so loud that I had a brief panic attack thinking Candace may have heard me from my crouched position on the front porch of my parents' home. Luckily, she didn't. All was well till about 10 o'clock that night when we were getting ready for bed. "Did you tell anybody?" Candace asked. Of course not, Woob. Woob is my go-to nickname when I need to be a sweetheart. "Babe," she said, as if to imply she knew I was lying, "You told E, didn't you?" She knew that E and I share everything, both good and bad, at the speed of light, so it didn't come as a shock that she not only knew I told somebody, she also knew who it was. "Yeah, I told him," I sheepishly said as I awaited a sure scolding, to which I rightfully deserved for running my big mouth. "I already knew you were going to," she said, shaking her head with a slight smile. To my surprise, my blabbering like a 12-year-old schoolgirl did not upset her at all. She simply shrugged it off and went to sleep. Why didn't she fly out into an all-out rage on me? The answer is because even though she's a relatively private person, privacy is not one of her core values. And I did not threaten one of the core values that she held closest to her heart. Had privacy been a major core value for Candace, that would have been a major source of conflict, not only for us at that moment, but also at several other moments throughout the course of dating and our marriage. So guys, and I go on to talk about core values here, and we'll start talking about a lot of this stuff. But I guess the thing I want to lead with is when you're choosing that right spouse, E is like the most community-oriented dude in the world. Diddy ain't necessarily, Diddy might have just now kind of been like, okay, I'm with community, because she got her kids out the house. So maybe, and not that she didn't love people, because Diddy always been counseling and more of a private setting though. She's not trying to do it in the room of 1,000. And E's always been, Mr. Whatever, but I think Diddy understood who he is and she accepted his core values. You know what I'm saying? So it makes a difference when you understand that, okay, that's a core value of his and I'm not going to buck him on that. And so she allowed E to be E because she knows that's one of his core values and I can accept that. And I think people get in line when the person that you're trying to date got different core values than you out of here. And I think
my phone. We on camera.
So
y'all looking at me, but I'm ready to throw my phone through a wall and take this thing to that level.
So no, I'm saying the first thing I want to start with. The first thing I want to start with are what are your core values? What are the I ain't worried about, okay, she kind of like this, you kind of like that. I'm talking about what do you believe in the dark? And we go on to talk about how you address those core values and things like that. But I think, like for real, family, that time commitment, that love, that honor, is respect, integrity, faith. Like these are the core values that we hold tight. So anything else, you feel me? Anything else is kind of like, oh, okay, you might be mad at me for 30 minutes, but you're going to get over it. But if I violate one of your core values,
But
that's
see,
gonna be something we're gonna buck heads on. You know what I mean?
See, before
my bad. Go for
it. I know he at the double Dutch line, like, you know what I'm saying? Let me just get in the double Dutch. But let me tell you, before you even start looking at your core values, do you even have any?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Do you have any for yourself? Because here's the truth of the matter. If you don't know what your core values are, you don't even got no business trying to date nobody.
And it's so crazy because people want to do that though.
In the beginning.
But people want to do that though. They think they're ready to find a spouse and they don't even know their own
You
core
don't
values.
even know yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, like for real, for those of you who are listening, like for real, who are about to make a bad decision, let me help you out.
Yeah, please.
If you don't know what your core values are and you are about to choose somebody to be your faith, stop dating right now.
Yeah.
Stop dating right now.
Period.
What I did in the beginning is because I didn't know what my core values were and because I had some validation issues going on, I embraced sex as my core value. And when you embrace sex as your core value, oh man.
Come on.
And you don't know what you're doing. What you're going to end up doing is ending up in divorce.
Right.
But thank God I did my homework. E was always in my life from the beginning and then through the divorce. So like for real, accountability is another issue and we can get into that later on. But for real, for those of you who don't have core values, I need you to establish what your core values are before you even think about getting in a
relationship.
relationship.
Here's my challenge though. I'm talking
E.
to you out there right now. I'm not even going to get into this right now. I'm going to get here though. Like, why is it that people are open with everything but their relationship?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I can't even help you because for real, I can't help you. I know you ain't got no core values. I mean, I know you shouldn't be with her. Why is it that you could be like, that could be your best dude, but when it comes to him dating and he gets serious, like, that's like that's a no talk zone, a no accountability zone. Like, you can't tell me nothing. And I'm trying to tell you,
talk about the game though.
Oh, come on. We can talk about the game. We can talk about money. We can talk about anything.
Business,
but when it comes to your dating, it's like now it's like, E, you don't have no business here. And so I just want to say, I'm going to let the fellas jump back in because this is going to be we're going to be doing this for years to come. So if some of y'all sitting there like, are they going to talk about this? We're going to be talking about stuff for the next 40, 50 years. Like, don't even worry about that. But I want to say this. The divorce rate, you're happy and everything. If we could just deal with this, because a lot of times we like to rush. And C told y'all last year, which book should you be reading? Get one book
Just get one.
and read that one book over and over until you apply.
Start applying that. Pick one off the 1,000 you got on your shelf that you ain't did nothing with, but read.
So we've been talking about self-assessment on the professional development. In marriage, we're going to stick with values because you will not get a divorce. You will not be happy if you choose people based on your values and not based on how he looked, how she looks, look, let me tell you something, weight, hair, skin color, you can get into all of that, right? And we ain't gonna get in nobody's personal business, but you could pick people because of the way they hair, you could pick people because of the size, you could pick people for whatever. Let me tell y'all the thing that blew my mind. I saw y'all a lot younger than me, but I saw a picture of, give me her name, come on, is a older black female. She's like one of the best looking black females in the 50s and 60s.
Pam Grier?
No. Light
Duda.
No. Light. She was a lighter woman.
Yes. I'll say yes.
Lighter woman. She sang. She acted.
Lena Horne.
Lena Horne.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell y'all something.
I was about to say
I
Dorothy
saw
Dandridge.
pictures of Lena Horne.
She'll work too.
Man, I'm saying with Lena Horne, still a beautiful woman, but she 80 now. So you married for looks.
Still fine.
Yeah, still fine, but I'm saying you married for looks.
That might be a bad example.
No, that's a good example because I'm sure some stuff that went down south. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, if you marrying folks just for looks, what you gonna do 40 years from now?
Oh, man.
What you gonna do 50 years from now?
Man.
And here's the thing that I've learned. I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, look, I don't care how fine you are. I don't care how buff you are. You get a tattoo when you 14, 15, 16. You look at that tattoo when you 82. It's not the same tattoo. But this is what I've discovered in my relationship with my wife.
Unless your name Tina.
The character grows. I'm telling y'all, I can't. I've been with Dee Dee since I was 16 years old. In terms of who she is becoming as a person, is getting way more attractive as the years go by. Way more attractive. We had 2 kids. Her body is not the same body it was before she almost, what I call the deathbed. You having 2 children. Men don't know what that's like. Like, that's the closest point to death that you're gonna have having children. And so, but there are things about her, and I thought I knew her. I ain't gonna lie. I thought I knew her, and I'm still discovering. Like, this is the crazy part. 26 years in the game, kids gone. We really now starting to get to know each other. So,
but you know what's crazy though? I'm gonna stop you there because you're right, and I've seen D grow. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, right? Your presence and what you do as a husband has allowed for that.
Yes.
A lot of your spouse ain't grown because you ain't grown and you're not providing that stability and that structure that's needed. D feels so comfortable now. You could tell. I mean, she don't got to worry in the world. So you're allowing her to grow. So a lot of times, for real, your spouse could grow like that too if you're listening to this podcast, but you're not facilitating growth, if you see what I'm saying. Like, so your spouse is constantly on guard because y'all always got this thing up to where your wife may be more of what you want her to be, or your husband may be more of what you want him to be, but you haven't let that guard down and y'all still holding on to these little, quirks that you got because you're scared of what's going to happen if you let go.
And she on her values.
Right.
It ain't core. Now, I wanted to say this early in the podcast. I just said we're going to let it flow freely. But as you say, it's three of us, and each perspective is different. But the thing about CJ's, and we've never even had this conversation before.
Hold on, tell me first.
Okay. Why he might talk about.
You feel me, Josh? I'm like, what's he about to say?
While he might talk about my relationship, you talking about Didi and I get married and having, and this is no disrespect to my parents. Her mother wasn't married. My parents, no disrespect, great family. But my parents weren't going by Christian principles. I'm running my family by Christian principles. So no disrespect to my family, but they were just a good marriage. I'm running mine by Christian principles. So I didn't have a lot of models on how you fought. So what I discovered is that Didi will tell you, she said, look, out of 26 years, I had 24 good ones. She'll tell you, like, not the first year was great, but the second and third one, she was like, yo, you was young, you was 20, 21, you did some stuff that were values to her that I didn't respect, that were her values, right? But what I can say about C and Candace is that I believe what CJ has done, and I'm hoping y'all gonna be able to do this, especially if you just, I hope it's your fiance and you listen to this. Like, y'all ain't even married yet. I felt like C took the principles that I gave him that may have taken me years to perfect, and he grabbed them quick and brought them straight into the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, so some of the stuff that most people go through in their marriage, C didn't really go through that because he took those principles and was like, yo, give them to me, I'm eating them. It reminds me of The Matrix with Neo. When they had put the thing on, it was giving him the knowledge, and he was just getting so much, and people was like, how's he getting so much knowledge? But he was just like, he's soaking it up. And C took the stuff that he said he was getting from me and applied it.
I ain't no fool, bro. I ain't no fool. If I see it's working, I'm like, bet, I'm down. Give me one of those.
What's so dope about what you're doing from my perspective, I didn't have those in the beginning, even though we was connected. You know how sometimes you just keep,
absolutely.
From that, after that happened, I was like, oh, I can't afford to do this again. I knew some way, somehow I was going to be married again. But since I've been applying the principles that you've given since that time, like, for real, you did our counseling. You married me in faith. Here we are, going into the 6th year, see? And we still going strong.
Absolutely. I feel like Belichick now. You know I didn't win the Super Bowls on my own, but I feel like Belichick.
You might be the Coach K of this thing. You know what I'm saying? Coach K of the marriage game.
Save it.
But like, for real, we still experiencing the goodness now. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man. And like I said, he talks about me applying those things, but that's what I meant when I said it's a formula to it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just happen organically. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that you hope mesh within your conversation and y'all attracted to each other and all of those things. But there comes a point when either you're going to grow or die.
Absolutely.
Either your marriage is going to grow or die. And if it's going to continue to grow, then you have to continue to water it. You have to continue to feed it. And so that's one of the things that he taught me. And me and Carl would be like, yo, we would be on the road. And this is long before like E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher or anything like that. Like, we would be on the road in New York, and we might only be gone for like 2-3 days. And I promise you, Carl, am I lying? E would call Didi the second he walked out of the speaking engagement. I'm talking about, like, E would say bye to the last person. Like, all right, thank you. Appreciate y'all having me. What's up, D? And I mean, they would be on the phone in the car the whole, I'm sitting there like, bruh, can you lower your voice? I ain't trying to hear y'all whole. He talking about Jalen and Jada. But I learned early on, like, because I wasn't really on that.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? I wasn't necessarily about to call my girl. I'm like, yo, we just got done. I'm trying to talk about how good it was. I'm trying to go get something to eat. I'm getting back to the hotel room. And then, like, right before I fall asleep, I'm like, boo, crazy day. I'll see you tomorrow. But he would, like, from the jump would call Didi. And it was so annoying to me. He would have his headphones or something on, phone in his pocket. And, like, he wouldn't even say a word for a minute. Or he have her on speakerphone. You could hear her, like, pots clinging, and I'm like, y'all ain't even saying nothing. Y'all just on the phone. I'm like, what are you doing? But what I realized is he was like, yo, I want to be as connected as possible with my wife. I'm not there, and so I just want to be connected. So it would be like 2 hours, and they would just be on the phone, with the line, I should say, connected. They might not even be talking, but it was just like basically like you in the room. It'd be like 20 minutes go by, and she'd be like, "Hey, you know where I put the spatula?" And he like, "Boo, it's under the." I'm like, "What in the world is this?" So I start seeing. Oh, okay. That's how you do it. I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I thank my parents for, what they taught me as well. My parents are still married by the grace of God. You know what I mean? But I'm able to look at all of these examples and say, okay, boom, let me put them in the toolbox and then bring them out. Now, I'm not perfect, but I do think, one of the things is like, yo, if somebody goes through it and is able to teach you, shame on you if you can't apply some of that stuff. I'm like, yo, I tell people all the time,
shame on you.
My parents, like, my dad always told me, all I need from you, son, is to give Trey a better life than I gave you. Show him more than I showed you. You know what I'm saying? Like, each generation has to get better. So even in marriages, if I'm able to get this information, and now that y'all are getting this information on the podcast, like we are going to give you some practical stuff. Like, there's some practical things. And Carl gonna have to jump on here and talk about some of this in a minute, because there was some practical stuff that I know Carl did, and he talks about it. And in our time as ETA, Carl, and whenever he feels comfortable sharing it, the most amazing, like, miracle happened with Carl in his marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he will share it at some point, but there were some practical things that he told Carl. Me and Carl was sitting there, and he told Carl, I need you to do this, this, and this. And I promise you, Carl did it, and boom, I'm talking about off. And so I'm excited about doing this, man.
I want to do this real quick because I want to make sure that we learn. And guys, you got to hear me. This is everybody. But fellas, please, wives, go put the speakerphone on so your man can hear this. Cause I know he probably like, podcast, E.T. Here go E.T. E.T. I'm just tired of hearing E.T. Listen to me, bro.
You do put a lot of pressure on the brothers.
I do. And I mean
the dirty laundry track on the album. He doing laundry.
You think
he got 2 different kind of laundry soap.
That's a lot of hospital bills coming to you,
bro. Come on,
I saw Nick Saban winning the other day and going off. They was up by 30 and Nick was going off. So if you a true champion, the pressure is getting put on. I think Izzo I'm like, Izzo about to have a heart attack every game. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say to my husbands especially, and then my wives, of course, you got to step up too. And Didi will, she gonna let y'all, read y'all rights. But it doesn't make sense to be married if you're not gonna be married. Like, that's just my thing. Like, if you just want to have an occasional roommate, just say that. But don't walk down the aisle. Like, I'm still a dude that thinks marriage is sacred. I'm one of the dudes that still believe, like, marriage is one of those things where you still do it in the church. I don't care who you are. I'm like, I don't care if you like believe in God, you don't believe in God, you go to church, you don't go to church. Weddings still happen, and you still got a pastor there. You know what I'm saying? It's still a sacred. There's a lot of other stuff that's not sacred. So listen, I just want to say this to all the guys out there. If you're gonna be married, be married. Like, I just talked to one of my homies today, and he called me. He was listening to this little piece I did on Facebook Live at Mainsland High School, the Mustangs, and he said, I listened to it because it was you. He said, but yo, can I be real with you? I was like, what's up? He was like, yo, I'm gonna be real. I've never given 120% to nothing.
Wow.
He was like, it's the crazy thing. He said, I listened to you and everything. I've been in the military. I didn't get at 120.
Yeah, but I bet he won 120 results.
Absolutely. But he's like, yo, I can be honest and say, I had a business. I never gave 120. He was like, yo, I'm going to be real with you. I don't know if I've ever given 60% to nothing. He was like, yo, I'm a grown man. I'm older than you, And he said, I listened to what you said, and I've never given 120 on anything. I've always had reservations. I've always had these anxieties. I always said, what if this or that? He's like, I've never, he said, you told those kids to give 120 for a week. He said, I'm going to take the challenge. I know I wasn't at the school, but I'm going to take the challenge, right? And so I'm just saying, take the marriage challenge. You married her. Try to be married, right? And so C talked about values. That's one. I just want you to commit to your marriage for a week. Just go in for a week or 30 days for me. Just go back and read what marriage is. For real. Like maybe go back and read the vows again. Maybe you were so pumped up when you went down the aisle, you weren't even listening to what you were saying. Like just go back.
I had the Kenny
Lattimore. You weren't even paying attention. You was wobbling.
You crying.
You crying. You ready to wobble with Quest and Faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Yep. I know, y'all, this content is fire. Y'all like, E, why you interrupt me? Look, if you want part 2 of this, that's right, if you want part 2, I need you to do me a huge favor. Go to breatheuniversity.com, select the package, right? And you can get part 2 of this fire content. And y'all know what it is. I'm telling y'all, we are coming with more of this content as it relates to marriage in the upcoming week. So go to breatheuniversity.com, sign up for a package, man, and I'll see you when I see you.